Hey there, Hadassah Damien here from Ride Free Fearless Money, and this video post is inspired by a post that I saw online recently asking the question, can you be working class and make $120,000 a year? And you, like me and like a lot of the commenters, might hear that question and immediately be like, nope, impossible. And I don't think that's true, and I want to talk about why. But I also want to talk about why we think that first. So number one, there's really no good way to talk about class in the US. There's no practice, no information. We don't have a culture of understanding class. So we associate income with class, but they're not the same thing because class is cultural. It's the people you come from, the norms, the expectations, how folks approach relationships and relating and money. So it's actually not totally accurate for us to immediately put together class and income. I would think, for example, and this is where I got after really starting to think about this post for a minute, was, there are totally working class jobs that pay really well. I'm thinking like plumber, firefighter, cops, teachers towards the end of their career, jobs with unions, might we notice. And there's also jobs that you might associate with being more middle class, like being a professor, or in particular being an adjunct professor, that don't pay really well, where you're definitely not looking at six figures, especially if you're an adjunct. And so I think it's like there's a simplification when we just equate class with money. It's not that the two don't go together, it's ever. They certainly can, but how much money you have doesn't necessarily inform your relationships and how you relate to money, and it certainly doesn't go back and rewrite your history and your lived experience, whatever that might have been, which is why I think the concept of class straddling is really important. It's from Betsy Leon-Wright. And it is this idea that you can have different class experiences over your life because class is cultural, relating, feeling, relationships. In looking at the comments on that post, it was super interesting to kind of watch a group of people like learn and educate together. It was a really interesting conversation. So thank you, original poster, if you're seeing this, or in commenters, because the sentiment really quickly was, well, no, you can't make a lot of money and be working class. And it's interesting because I see a lot of people, like in conversations about money, folks I'm working with, start to say, well, once you have a certain amount of money, you just can't be broke. People make all kinds of amounts of money and end up broke, by the way. Or once you have a certain amount of money, you can't have struggle. People have all kinds of amounts of money and have mad debt, send money home, don't understand how to manage it, and have struggle. So I think there's also a way in which we compile being working class with maybe not having enough, or struggling with money, or just generally being poor, which is also separate, right? Again, we don't have a great way to talk about class in this country, so we just really can't conceptualize. And there's this really broken mental model that's everyone's supposed to try to be middle class, e.g. have more than enough, but it's good, it's somehow pure, morally better to not have enough and to struggle. Therefore, there's this mental battle I think a lot of people have, which is well, I don't want to say that I'm middle class, but other people who have more and who have enough are definitely middle class, and there's something a little bit wrong with that. So I think there's a lot going on when we start to ask ourselves questions about how much money is what class. And culturally, again, people can change. The people around you can change. The expectations, the norms, the habits and behaviors that you have around money can be more middle class, can be more working class, although there's really not a universal out there. Although something that I have noticed is that people who have experienced having less money tend to be a little bit better at zero-based budgeting because there's just not more out there. It's a different post. I'm curious what you think. Thank you for listening.